Wrong.
That is absolutely
wrong.
Proved over and over again.
Wrong.
He actually had
alternative facts.
Here's hoping they ruin his appetite. In fact, everyone's appetite. Here's hoping they get brutally blunt with the president. Here's hoping they give him some food for thought and let him know if he keeps doing what he's doing, they'll all be politically puking next year. Some of them will get angry, probably furious, maybe start tweeting about the first one who dares question his wisdom.
In a social networking service in March 2009, as one of the most famously unapologetic critics of government and political correctness.
I have fans, they really love. We have an unbelievable bond. We have an
You retweet some of those. It's not just the fans.
Yeah, but not the more nasty ones.
Alternative facts.
Record of women abuse while playing the women's card on me, she's wrong.
Wrong.
that is absolutely
Wrong.
Proved over and over again.
Wrong.
He actually had.
Oh, but that's,
I didn't start it.
But sir, with all due respect, that's the argument of a 5-year-old.
I didn't start it.
Nobody has more respect for women than I do.
But that denial became difficult to substantiate when a recording of Trump bragging about inappropriately touching females emerged in October 2016. Even so, Trump responded indignantly on Twitter before ultimately issuing an apology that also attacked Bill Clinton. It's because of their very poor and highly inaccurate coverage of the Trump phenomena. Some dissenters say that part of Trump's MO during his time on the political stage has been to incite a strong sense of distrust in the media by dragging their reputation through the mud should anyone report negatively against him.
Alternative facts.
You know, you could see there was blood coming out of her eyes. Blood coming out of her wherever.
Nobody has more respect for women than I do.
You know, you could see there was blood coming out of her eyes. Blood coming out of her wherever.
He's done this by directly attacking the intelligence or looks of certain presenters, complaining of unfair coverage, and even declaring that the New York Times was losing subscribers due to their negative treatment of his campaign. In actuality, the Times saw its largest increase in online subscriptions during a one-week period since their digital platform went live in 2011. However, factually questionable statements like this haven't dissuaded Trump supporters who are immensely suspicious of the political establishment.
Nothing you can do, folks.
Please stop shaking your head.
Altogether, we have a movement going on. And it's a movement of competence and common sense. That what they say, I think it's a big scam for a lot of people to make a lot of money.
Alternative facts.
Alec Baldwin's relentless portrayal of Donald Trump generating laughs and a few angry tweets.
Wrong.
That is absolutely
Wrong.
Proved over and over again.
Wrong.
He actually had.
My microphone is broken. She broke it with Obama. She and Obama stole my microphone. They took it to Kenya.
It all began in October 2016 when Trump accused SNL of being part of the media conspiracy to keep him out of the White House. After the billionaire bureaucrat was elected, the show continued its tradition of parodying its leaders.
Google, what is ISIS?
Something Trump took issue with on Twitter. The result was a bit of a war of words between Trump and Baldwin that ultimately led to another skit mocking the president-elect's obsession with social media.
Wrong.
That is absolutely
Wrong.
Proved over and over again.
Wrong.
He actually had.
Please stop shaking your head.
Another great retweet.
Unsurprisingly, Trump gave it 2 thumbs down, ironically, by tweeting about it.
Please stop shaking your head.
Number 3, an extremely credible source has called my office and told me that Barack Obama's birth certificate is a fraud. The topic of Barack Obama's heritage cropped up throughout his years as President of the United States, with conspiracy theorists suggesting he was not eligible to be Commander-in-Chief because he was not born in the United States.
Well, since you don't have a driver's license, you're gonna need a birth certificate.
Labeled by many as a form of racism, these rumors didn't necessarily start with Donald Trump, but he certainly renewed the discussion during Obama's re-election campaign in 2012.
When he first started really seriously flirting with the idea of running for president in 2012, his entire platform basically was going to be this birther idea.
Alternative facts.
Over a year after President Obama made his long-form birth certificate public, proving he was in fact born in Hawaii and not Kenya.
So I just dismissed it. But you made a big deal out of it.
Bill, I grew up with Wall Street geniuses. What they do in terms of fraud and how they change documents.
The fact that Trump credited an unnamed source for his proof became fairly ironic during his own presidential campaign, as he berated the media on Twitter for not disclosing their anonymous sources.
Please stop shaking your head.
If Hillary Clinton can't satisfy her husband, what makes her think she can satisfy America? Trump claims to have deep respect for women, but there are dozens of readily available examples that fly directly in the face of that assertion.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
Nobody has more respect for women than I do.
Alternative facts.
Take this gem that Trump retweeted in April 2015. Moments after this went live, it was deleted, but not before actor Lenny Jacobson took a screenshot and reposted it to hold the Republican candidate accountable. It should also be emphasized that these are not Trump's own words, but a quote from another user he chose to retweet.
You would be amazed at the ones they don't retweet.
Bimbo?
Well, there was a retweet, yeah. Did I say that?
Many times.
However, when you consider similar posts actually made by Trump that have belittled and bullied women through persistent objectification, Trump's idea of respect is called into question.
Hey, when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy.
Nobody has more respect for women than I do.
I can do anything.
Only 238 convictions. What did these geniuses expect when they put men and women together? Trump's tweets help you get to know the man, the myth, the legend. He can go from making perfect sense to outrageous, all in 140 characters or less.
You retweeted an unflattering picture of her next to a picture of your wife.
I thought it was a nice picture of Heidi. I thought it was fine.
To wit, in 2013, Trump took to Twitter to address the topic of sexual misconduct in the U.S. Armed Forces, and his take caused a stir. Ignoring the typo on the word assaults, critics armed with the same Pentagon report Trump had seen explained that he was misunderstanding the issue. Many sexual violations in the military are perpetrated by men against men. During a Commander-in-Chief forum hosted by NBC in September 2016, Trump defended the tweet because he's clearly not one to fall victim to verbal assaults.
It is a correct tweet. There are many people that think that that's absolutely correct.
Alternative facts.
Probably not the worst thing I've ever heard, if you're going to do them anyway.
Alternative facts.
It appears that winning the presidency just wasn't enough for Trump.
Please stop shaking your head.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
Although he lost the popular vote by almost 3 million, the official Electoral College votes tallied at 306 to 232 for the Republican candidate. Then again, he'd been saying the election was rigged since the beginning, so why should him winning change things?
I have to get involved with Putin. I have nothing to do with Putin. I've never spoken to him. I don't know anything about him other than he will respect me. He doesn't respect our president. And if it is Russia, which is probably not, nobody knows who it is, but if it is Russia, it's really bad for a different reason, because it shows how little respect they have for our country when they would hack into a major party and get everything. But it would be interesting to see. I will tell you this. Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing. I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press. Let's see if that happens.
Please stop shaking your head.
Alternative facts.
Nothing you can do, folks.
Like he did today when he tweeted, and I quote, "The fake mainstream media is working so hard trying to get me not to use social media. They hate that I can get the honest and unfiltered message out." Mr. President, it's not the fake news media that's your problem. It's you. It's not just your tweeting, it's your scapegoating. It's your refusal to see that sometimes you're the one who's feeding your own beast.
Nothing you can do, folks.
And acting beastly with your own guys. Those are your guys, Mr. President. They're on your team, Mr. President. And right about now, they seem shell-shocked and dejected, though looking at their deer in the headlight eyes, I bet they're too afraid to tell you. Now, they're not perfect, but they do have your back.
Alternative facts.
As no less than the Wall Street Journal muses today, do you have theirs? Mr. President, they didn't tweet disparaging comments about a London mayor in the middle of a murder spree. You did. They didn't create that needless distraction. You did. They didn't get you off your very valid and very promising agenda. You did. They didn't turn on a travel ban that you signed. You did. You're right to say a lot of people are out to get you, Mr. President. They are. But as the Journal pointed out, the buck stops with you, Mr. President, and risks ruining the very promising economic agenda that has buoyed spirits and the markets because of you.
Nothing you can do, folks.
Please stop shaking your head.
That's good. Look at these critiques you're now hearing from usually friendly and supportive allies as sort of like an intervention. Because firing off these angry misses and tweets risks your political destruction. Quoting the Journal, if this pattern continues, Mr. Trump may find himself running an administration with no one but his family and the Breitbart staff. People of talent and integrity won't work for a boss who undermines them in public without thinking about the consequences.
Wrong.
That is absolutely
Wrong.
proved over and over again.
Wrong.
He actually had
Consequences for them and you, Mr. President. And the Journal and those guys, they like you. They like your agenda. I find it ironic that on this, the 73rd anniversary of D-Day, some of your most ardent backers are desperately girding for another battle, not for Normandy, for normalcy, for sticking to an agenda that matters and not silly distractions that do not. That is what your most ardent supporters are pushing for you to keep pushing. They want you signing legislation, not settling endless scores. They're not saying never let them see you tweet. They are saying never let them see you sweat.
Who voted illegally. It appears that winning the presidency just wasn't enough for Trump.
Please stop shaking your head.
Remember, no one ever said that Harry Truman didn't have a temper or that Ronald Reagan a long memory. They just preferred giving their critics hell than telling them to go to hell.
Wrong.
that is absolutely
Wrong.
proved over and over again. He
Wrong.
actually had
Now, just because your own critics never thought that you'd make it to the White House does not mean you shouldn't listen to those who want you to thrive and succeed in the White House. They're not the problem, Mr. President. Like I said, these days, you are.
Wrong.
that is absolutely
Wrong.
proved over and over again.
Wrong.
He actually had
Please stop shaking your head.
Since you're attacking us, can you give us a question? Since you're, no, Mr. President-elect.
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
since you are attacking
No,
our news
not you.
organization,
Not
can
you.
you give us a chance?
Your organization's
You are attacking
terrible.
our news organization.
Your organization's
Can you give us a
terrible.
chance
Let's
to ask
go.
a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can
Quiet.
you state,
Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking
categorically,
a question. Don't
Mr.
be rude.
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you
No, I'm
give
not
us a
going to give you a
question?
question.
Can
I'm
you-
not going to give you a
Can you
question.
can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
Go ahead.
can you state categorically that nobody... No, Mr. President-elect, that's not
Go ahead.
appropriate.
Stop shaking your head.
Alternative facts.
I don't think that a lot of craziness is going to come about naturally from Comey, but there is one wild card in this, and that is Donald Trump. So Robert Costa tweeted, "I'm told by two White House sources that President Trump does not plan to put down Twitter on Thursday, may live tweet if he feels the need to respond."
Sounds like a great idea.
It sounds like a wonderful plan.
I'm not able to implement the travel ban because he referred to it in a way that made it clear that it was discrimination against Muslims, which is unconstitutional.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to tweet, have at it, have fun.
This issue is not new.
Now, just because your own critics never thought that you'd make it to the White House does not mean you shouldn't listen to those who want you to thrive and succeed in the White House. They're not the problem, Mr. President. Like I said, these days, you are.
This issue is not new.
I say they're wrong because they were wrong. And were they wrong?
Are they wrong?
I think they're wrong 100%.
Please stop shaking your head again.
Sometimes they're wrong. They were wrong. Sometimes they're wrong. It's the New York Times. They're always wrong.
Alternative facts.
Well, I would say my wife tells me I'm wrong all the time.
This issue is not new.
Alternative facts.
Wrong. Wrong.
That is
wrong. And he did the wrong thing. Wrong.
That is absolutely
Wrong.
proved over and over again.
Wrong.
Please stop shaking your head again.
Jeb is so wrong.
He said no.
Wrong. Jeb is so wrong.
That is so wrong.
Alternative facts.
Down the
Wrong.
national debt.
Wrong.
Advocating.
Wrong.
With that money, lost.
Very nice words, but happens to be wrong. 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 Wrong.
Alternative facts.
Wrong. Wrong.
We have one more question from Ken Bone about energy policy. Ken?
Wrong.
Thanks for the trip down memory lane. I was on your show. Thanks for the trip down memory lane. I was on your show often last fall.
Alternative facts.
Saying we were going to win Michigan and how we were going to do it. So that was fun, but
Memo, referring perhaps to the memo that leaked a couple of weeks ago. To ensure accuracy, I began to type it on a laptop in an FBI vehicle outside Trump Tower the moment I walked out of the meeting. Creating written records immediately after one-on-one conversations with Mr. Trump was my practice from that point forward. This had not been my practice in the past. And the one-on-one setting, this is during the dinner we've talked about previously, and the pretense that this was our first discussion about my position meant the dinner was, at least in part, an effort to have me ask for my job and create some sort of patronage relationship. Because the setup made me uneasy, I added that I was not reliable in the way politicians use that word after Trump said, "I want loyalty." But he said he could always count on me to tell the truth. I added that I was not on anybody's side politically, and I could not be counted on in the traditional political sense. A few moments later, the president said, "I need loyalty. I expect loyalty."
Stop shaking your head again.
Wrong.
That is absolutely
Wrong.
proved over and over again.
Wrong.
The 30th, the president called me at the FBI. He described the Russia investigation as, quote, a cloud that was impairing his ability to act on behalf of the country. He said he had nothing to do with Russia, had not been involved with hookers in Russia, and had always assumed he was being recorded when in Russia. He asked what we could do to lift the cloud.
Please stop shaking your head again.
Alternative facts. Alternative facts. Alternative facts.
John.
Sean, moments ago, Mitch McConnell, who will be here in the next few minutes, reiterated that he is not a fan of the president's tweets. We understand, and you've explained several times, that the president likes to have this conduit where he can talk directly to the American people. But does he sometimes cross the line where his tweets become the news, become the agenda, and it actually impedes his ability to get things done?
Well,
nope. Are President Trump's tweets considered official White House statements?
Nope. Nope. John, can you tell us where the president's going to be and what he's going to be doing on Thursday at 10 a.m.? Is he going to watch former Director Comey's testimony up on Capitol Hill?
Nope. Nope. Nope.
Well, the president is the president of the United States, so they're considered official statements by the president of the United States.
Follow up on that question. Is President Trump at all concerned that his tweets could be used against him at the level of the Supreme Court when the ACLU takes on this travel ban case?
Nope. 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 I don't have that. Nope. Please stop shaking your head again.
You are fake news.
Sir.
Go ahead. You are fake news.
Sir.
Go ahead.
Alternative facts to that. You can laugh at me all you want. I'll just ignore it. I'm bigger than that.
Please stop shaking your head again. Please stop shaking your head again.
It's really so stupid.
I'll just ignore it. I'm bigger than that.
Nope. 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 Nope.
Torture. Just gotta let it out. Just gotta let it out.
Please stop shaking your head again. Nope. Please stop shaking your head again. Nope. Please stop shaking your head again.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir.
Go ahead.
To healthcare, why even monkey around with pre-existing conditions? That's the most popular thing in Obamacare. Why are you guys spinning your wheels, messing around with pre-existing conditions?
Alternative facts.
I wouldn't call it messing around or however you phrased it. I think the president wants to do everything.
Pre-existing conditions are covered. They're not discriminated against.
No, just hold on.
You're
just
going to change to a system where who the hell knows what's going to happen.
Please stop shaking your head again.
Now, just because your own critics never thought that you'd make it to the White House does not mean you shouldn't listen to those who want you to thrive and succeed in the White House. They're not the problem, Mr. President. Like I said, these days, you are.
Wrong.